Hey all, welcome to episode 1 of AI Podcast. So today I have the pleasure of hosting someone who has been a successful co-founder of this company Skillet, which was into B2B enterprise SaaS in AI powered recruitment space. With this, they not just disrupted the recruitment space but also helped reshape it by bringing AI into this domain. Their then customers like Rakuten, AB InBev, Coca-Cola, Adani give evidence to it. After the company's successful acquisition, he worked as a head of GTM and currently he's an aspiring founder for his next startup journey. So please help me welcome an NIT alumni, an ex-chief business officer, and a newly promoted father too, Mr. Anand Kumar.
Hi, Sandra. Thank you. Thanks for hosting me here.
How are you, Anand?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm also doing. Thank you. Yeah. So Anand, why not we start with your journey, a bit about your background, about your educational background, and then how did you step up into the startup ecosystem of your corporate journey if there was a key. So let's start with that.
Yeah, perfect. So, as you said, I'm an IT Jamshedpur grad, 2014. First job was Jindal Steak. I always call it as Bhagwan ka prasad in India, wherein you don't choose your first job, you just get it. After your first job, you figure out, okay, whether you're made for it or not. I figured out that this is not my piece of cake where I want to be for a long term. Landed into a company or a startup back then called Traction. It was a very early stage company back in 2015, one of the early employees. I then worked there for a year and started a company called Skillet along with two of my partners, which was AI Recruiting India.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So I think back in 2017-18, startup was just thriving. So it was kind of early stage only where you stepped up into startup.
Yeah, so I think AI after 2022, I believe, became mainstream. We started and we are saying AI from 2016. So yeah, so we are a old generation guy, if you can think of that way.
Right, right. And I think back then, though, AI would be a marketing gimmick, more than a marketing gimmick. So, yeah, kudos to you guys. So, Anand, why not you explain a bit about your Skillet? What were the Skillet products and a bit about the technical part?
Yeah, definitely. Sure. So Skillet was more about, we started with the fact that how the major problem of recruitment is, right? So if I apply to a job, typically what happens? 90 to 95% of the time, the candidate never hears back. And I always go and blame the recruiter in general or the company system in general. But we have taken a different approach and thought that what happens behind the scene from a company lens standpoint and figured out that it's a complete messy process. And these are large legacy systems like SAP, Oracle, Workday ecosystem, wherein there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of resumes that typically comes in a company every single day or month. How we can sort those resumes to figure out, hey, if let's say Antara is the best fit for a particular role, how I as a recruiter will be able to figure out in no time, because typically sales and recruitment are two different ways of doing job in two different functions, but a lot of things are similarity between one another. So I believe the core product was auto job resume matching on SAP, Oracle, Workday ecosystem. That was the core product how we started with.
Okay, okay, nice. So, I believe you have done which stream you did your engineering in?
So I was a production industrial engineering and so landed in JSW.
Okay, okay. So coming from that non-tech background, I think non-coding background it was. So, what challenges did you face in understanding your product, especially the technical part, because you were accountable for bringing revenue to the organization, right? So, to what extent you have to develop that capability to understand the product technical part, and how much it is required actually?
So I think being a founder, what I've learned is you figure out on the go, right? So there is no playbook. Every founder, every company journey is extremely different from another. So if I had to tell about myself, both of my partners were hardcore techies. One was a hardcore AI guy. One was a product plus engineering guy. For me, I think how I developed my tech capability was I started with, frankly, nothing glamorous, the QA part of it, right? I think whatever these guys used to develop code, shape, right? But yes, I used to test first how it is looking, what it is looking, and cross question a lot with both of these gentlemen. And then I was doing sales definitely, but because they were very heavy on integration with SAP, Oracle, Workday, and there was nobody in the early stage, so I was doing a implementation, integration conversation, basically the account management part, right? So I think so the QA and account management, not sales, made me understand the tech or AI capability in much more detail.
Okay, nice. So I think back in 2021, I remember I was onboarded to Ola as an employee, of course. So that time, as a part of my onboarding process, I was introduced to the Skillet platform because it was an ATS, right? Ola was using that. So as a user, I used it for the first time and it was quite intuitive and user friendly. So that time I realized, it was a pleasant surprise that we are used to seeing SAP SuccessFactor, Workday or other ATS in the organizations, right? So it was a pleasant surprise to see Indian companies products in the big organizations. So that was really nice experience.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the only thing I'll add is at Ola, it was not an 8 years, but we were on top of Success Factors, RCM product because we were the layer behind SAP Success Factors RCM module, wherein we let all the boring part become very interesting, but the legacy systems remains the same.
And I think that's one of the good positioning because when you are competing, it seems like you are competing with SAP, Oracle, all the big, big enterprises.
200.
So I think that's a good way to position yourself, where you are saying that we are integrating. We are not here to replace you, rather to integrate with you, to uplift you.
100%.
It's like that. Okay. So I think when you are selling the AI products, I think there are certain level of questions or certain level of apprehensions customers have. Like for example, AI products are kind of biased. They are not very fair. And whether their own data, as an enterprise, maybe even I would also have that kind of question, whether my data would be used for you guys to train your model. So how did you deal with such kind of questions? Did you have a playbook sort of, or you were equipped yourself enough to answer such kind of questions? How did you deal with such kind of complex questions?
So I'll say we lost even a deal, very good deal because of this, right? In the very, very early stage. But sooner we realized that we have to take this security and compliance piece very, very seriously. I think none of the founders come from security and compliance background in general. Either they do tech or they do sales, right? So I think this one piece they have to uh, pump up very, very well and very, very soon. So then I started interacting with a lot of founders. So Whatfix founders, even Khadim and Vara are angel investors. So they helped us define the process, how it looks like. I think the certification of SOC 2 and ISO 27001 has helped us a lot in terms of securing the protocol, because these large enterprises, one is definitely how fast and how strong you have done your compliance but at the end of the day, do you have really a good certification from a good agency in place that you can showcase to their third party, right? I think so that it can be taken care within the management of that enterprise. So these two larger pieces, I can say, one was a mentorship from a large company who was selling in US multi-billion-dollar deals, how and what they are doing in their playbook, not ours. And second was more about the certification and compliance being in place, having two major SOC 2 and ISO 27001.
Getting mentorship is also very important aspect in any entrepreneurship journey, especially when you are one of the early founders. So I think that mentorship is also very important.
100%.
And I think mentorship coming from people like Khadim, Batti, Vara, Whatfix, Epic Whatfix founders. So nothing like it. Great. So in the whole process of sales, how much is the customer education plays in AI sales? How much role that customer education plays in AI sales? Basically?
It plays a significant role because at the end of the day, the customer wants to know, as you rightly said, right, how much AI is biased, how you are storing my data, whether, let's say, I'll give an example, right, Coca-Cola and AB InBev, both were our customers. So if Coca-Cola became our customer first and we are doing and learning from their data and pattern, because those are two big giants in FMCG industry, right? I think Coca-Cola will always have an perspective that, hey, I think I'm quite sure that my learning of hiring at Coca-Cola might be replicated at AB InBev, right? So I think these are some of the apprehensions that customer always have, but your security and compliance will always help how you make it multi-tenant system, which is very, very strong in nature.
And I think at the same time, customer education also plays a significant role.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I'm giving you a very hypothetical situation. If you're given a chance to start Skillet or something in those lines today, would you start? Why? Why not? And if yes, would that be the same approach that you guys used, or it would be a different approach?
I think after 2022, I believe the AI definition got changed significantly, right? I think how people have perceived AI before this attention is all you need paper, and after attention is all you need paper, right? So I think, and its implementation from GPT stuff. So if you'll ask me, I think as a company, not as a sales guy or GTM head of the company, but as a company overall, I'll recommend both of my tech guys that, hey, I think some of the hard work that we did a lot in Skillet, we should outsource it today, this time, to some of the large LLM models and become a wrapper on top of that, which took significant amount of time and effort in the very beginning, right? And then let's scale it up to a large extent and then think of what to do next. From a GTM standpoint, I think, yes, would love to do the same.
So basically, you would build a wrapper over the existing LLM model.
For some of the complex problems which took significant amount of time, so if I tell you that way, right, it's very difficult if you have not raised $50, $100 million, right? I think it's very difficult to invest so much in R&D. So how you can use some of the established LLM models and leverage their strength in your 0 to 1 journey, right? And once you have done that and you want to go deep, then you should definitely think of building your own system in place, etc. But some of the hard problems, in our case, it was the resume extraction information, which was very, very difficult at that stage. I remember some of the early conversations where Anand, I don't know how to increase the accuracy of this product at this stage, because the current global scenario is something like this. We were at 83% accuracy, someone was 71, someone was 87, etc. So it's very, very vague. So I think if that piece can be outsourced to a large language model, that's possible to start.
Yes. And I think it's very much possible in today's scenario with all the LLM models, open source, and even using API, this is really convenient. Okay. So would you think SaaS is making sense currently, or it will be a different?
So I did different. 100% yes. So SaaS will exist forever. There's a lot of conversation that, hey, it's all AI agent, etc. So my 2 cents, and I might be completely wrong 10, 15 years down the line, is that SaaS will exist with much lesser screens.
Okay.
Right? I think so. A lot of background work, backend work will be handled automatically by AI agents, but SaaS will exist in some form and capacity.
So it's not completely obsolete, but it will exist with fewer screens and with agents, of course, integrated. Okay.
That will be on the back end. So people might not even bother what is happening on the back end, right, on the background. But if with lesser screens, I'm able to do what I need to.
Okay. So in today's context of all generative AI LLMs all around, so any tools that you are using in the sales, in the GTM part? So
I think I am a big fan of Gong as a product in general. And the best part, what I like is the summary that it gives automatically after the meeting, the kind of comprehensive summary that it gives, and the insightful numbing that you can get, yes, is awesome. Which is, so being a leader is very difficult to figure out what is happening on the ground. Like you cannot be on each and every meeting. You cannot know just from MOM, in CRM, etc. But this is with 100% discipline, with 100% process in a completely automated way. So I'm a big fan of Gong as a product.
Okay. It's like similar to Firefly.
Yes. So Gong is the largest company in the Fireflies vertical globally.
Okay. Oh, didn't know that. Nice. So now I will move to the next section. So as an individual, what is your advice to someone who aspires to work in AI coming from a non-tech, non-coding background? I mean, whenever we we think about someone who is working in AI space, AI domain, be it in, in any domain, like says I'm heading GTF or I am heading the marketing, but I don't have the AI background or coding background. So what is your advice to them when someone aspires to?
First is, I believe, what I've seen, right? In general, if you are not from tech background, a lot of people have an apprehension that, hey, the moment AI will come, my job will be lost, right? So I think, so first of all, we should have a very much clarity that, hey, nothing is going to happen like this, right? And if it will happen, it will always happen. So better to adopt it rather than just to say that, okay, till the time it is happening, it should happen without AI. So it's better to embrace it, implement it, use it, rather than just to leave it on the shelf, right? So I think in whatever form and capacity, I think as a sales, as a marketing, as a ops, finance, there are enough use cases that can be taken care from AI as a product, right? I think starting from, let's say, workflow automation to meeting summary to building a presentation, writing a small email, writing different prompts to make your daily life easy. There are hundreds of things. In general, as a GTM function, you interact with hundreds of people, right? So I think how you can set the tone, you can write an email in that fashion, etc., etc. So I think a lot of those activities can make you aware of what AI.
Basically, leveraging AI into your day-to-day work.
200%. Oh, right. I think what
Okay. And I will make my question more generic. So what is your advice to someone who aspires to be an entrepreneur?
So I think we started very early. I think after or less than 2 years of college experience, we started, right? I think, and the journey was decent enough, no complaints in life. So I think as an entrepreneur, I always advise people not to become an entrepreneur because today companies pay so well, I think, and you live so decent life that please always I advise don't become an entrepreneur. But the ironic part is somebody who has to become an entrepreneur figures out a way to become an entrepreneur. Even if you say them a lot, right? Why you want to be. So I think me and I remember before one of my partner, right? So I think we both went to 2-3 meetings in the early stage of the company, and I'll not take the name. I think very good guy. I think today is a unicorn founder, right? He was brutal in our conversation saying, why you want to be a founder today? I'm not sure, right? I think so, but because we just wanted, so we became, right? So it's like, it looks like a glamorous world from outside wherein you'll get a lot of name, fame, money, etc. But it does not happen that way. You have to enjoy the journey and the challenge part of it rather than think of the outcome. I've seen at least hundreds of companies write small checks today being an angel. So if somebody is just looking to an outcome of that startup that I think he or she wants to work on, right? Eventually they're going to be died. So I think this is my firm belief. If you cannot enjoy every single day of your life as a challenge, startup is not for you.
I think you have to be extremely passionate about your intent.
Yes, and few people are, right? I think they were there in our previous generation also in different forms. We never called them entrepreneurs. They have left their comfort zone, came to a different place, set up a shop, set up a factory. Now we call it service company, then we call it product company. So journey has changed, and so is the entrepreneur definition. The good thing that has happened in last 10 years after this IT product startup definition that came up is it became mainstream. More and more people are taking risks. And the better part is now we have a mechanism. If somebody is not able to do, how we are absorbing the failed founders. So my 2 cents will always be, don't be a founder, but people who actually want to be somehow figures out that, hey, this is our calling and I want to be a.
So in short, you should be crazy enough to become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Okay. So I will, so we are at the last part of our conversation. So I will ask you with some set of questions. You can take maybe 3 seconds of time before answering, and it could be one word or fewer lines. So basically, it's a rapid fire round, right? Okay. So what is the most commonly AI app you are using on phone?
ChatGPT itself.
Okay, nothing surprising. Okay. Most overrated AI buzzword.
So AI itself, I think I'll just extend it. Before 2022, 2021, I believe I was in Hyderabad in a NASSCOM conference at a national scale. I think one Deloitte partner said that this is the first time I've seen in my life of last 20, 35 years that people have made more money talking about AI or any technology than actually implementing it. Right. So I think, and he was saying this in front of 1,500 audience, all leaders of India and US, right? So, and the globe. So exactly, that's the kind of.
Just people wants to be in the part of this AI race, AI game.
Yeah.
But yeah, the implementation thing or the knowledge depth thing, I think that is still missing. Yeah. Okay. Sales in 2030, human-led or AI-led?
So a lot of people ask me this question. So I believe that a product being sold in $12,000 to $15,000 ARR as a product will become complete automated or product-led growth. But post $15,000, $20,000 product as an ARR will always need human touch, and that will be a human-led sales.
Okay, so for large enterprises deals, you may need human. Yeah.
You will need.
You will need human folks. AI in sales, friend or foe?
I think not in sales, but in general, I believe it's always a friend, right? If we compare the technology part of it from last 150 years, Industrial Revolution 1, 2, 3, 4, I think every time there was a situation like this, right? Whenever it has come up, okay, what is going to happen next, right? I think everybody will lose jobs. I think the third Industrial Revolution 3, I think once it came, all bankers were like, I'm not sure what is going to happen next, right? So I think, then internet came, it was very different. So yes, there's a technological shift, but it will just be adjusted with that.
Okay. Because human has the capability to adapt. So I think that will also we will be able to pass. Okay, let's see. Favorite AI tool for sales or in general? I will make it general.
So general is GPT for sure, but for sales it is Gong as a product.
Go. Okay. CRM or spreadsheet or agents?
CRM plus agents.
CRM plus agents. If you could see AI solve one global problem in the next 5 to 10 years, what would it be?
So I believe from an AI perspective, health is one thing that we should be investigating more, we should be investing in more. And the way we have seen, I think, be it enterprise product, be it finance, be it HR, I think somehow we have not been able to do so much in health.
Yes.
I think, although a couple of days back, even OpenAI has researched and published a article, I'll say Health Bench, which is phenomenal, how deep they are working, etc., etc. But still, I believe health as a sector, and within health, I feel like, let's say, diagnosis of diseases, right?
Diagnosis.
Early diagnosis, R&Ds of pharma medicines, which typically the cycle of 7 to 8 years, how we can minimize it to 2 or 3. So I think some of these technological advancements will mean a lot to the planet, and AI can be a very, very big stuff for them.
Okay. So I think we are good here. Thank you so much, Alan, and hope everyone liked the episode. So please stay tuned for the next one, and we will bring more such industry insights from the industry leaders. Thank you.
Thank you.